some major tips to support you if you have an alcoholic husband, an alcoholic wife. And this is going to help you experience more peace, help them get sober, more healthier. It's going to help potentially save your relationship. It's going to help you potentially help that person get sober, have more peace and tranquility in your life. So some of the tips is, number one, is that you want to begin to get educated together. Read books like The Cure for Alcoholism by Roy Scapa. Watch documentaries like One Little Pill. That's going to help you get informed and get educated and learn how to overcome these issues. The next thing is that you have to learn is that you have two frames of mind in this field. One is the abstinence and one is the reduction over time. And so the problem with abstinence is that the more you go without, if you're an alcoholic, the more you go without drinking, the more your cravings grow, and then it leads to binge drinking. And then every time you binge drink, you go to another level, and then eventually you hit rock bottom. You might go to rehab, you might go to the hospital, get a detox. But guess what? Next time you go abstinent, and then the next time you're gonna have a bigger binge. And so that's just how it happens. It gets worse and worse and worse. And so if you're the family of someone struggling with this, you're probably throwing away bottles, you're worried, you're being the police in the home. Don't do that. Get educated. You don't need to do that. There's a better way, which is a reduction using pharmacological extinction following the Sinclair method. So the Sinclair method is using a medication that blocks the endorphin receptors. So before we go there, let me explain the way alcoholism works is that the more you drink, you get hit with endorphins in the brain, which is an addictive cycle, is a reward. You're getting rewarded in the brain. And so alcoholism is an addiction of the brain. And so what has been discovered, since the many years, over 30 years, I believe by now, is that you could take a medicine like naltrexone before you drink, an hour or two before you drink. It blocks the endorphin receptors, which is what makes the brain addicted, what makes the brain ask for alcohol to where it becomes uncontrollable. You block the endorphin receptors with the medicine, and then when you drink, the reward is no longer there, and so you begin to unlearn. See, when the brain is not getting that reward, it stops doing the behavior. And this is one thing that they studied on dogs, for example, to where if they hit the bell, the dog comes, he gets a piece of steak. They hit the bell, get the piece of steak. They hit the bell, get the piece of steak. And then when they stop doing that process, they hit the bell, there was no steak. Eventually, after enough ticks, the dog didn't even pay attention, right? And so it's the same thing with naltrexone. It blocks the endorphin receptors. When you drink, there's no reward. It is blocking the reward, right? It's blocking the endorphin receptors, which is what causes the addiction. And so every time you go through that cycle, but you want to track and reduce over time, right? You want to keep a notebook, maybe a spreadsheet, how much you're drinking, how many cups, if it's wine, how many cups of wine, if it's beer, how many cups of beer, track it over time, and you're going to see that you're going to improve over time. You're going to track it and reduce it. And so you no longer have to be the police in the house. You don't have to worry about those withdrawal symptoms to where you could get seizures. Why? Because you're not abstaining from alcohol. You're reducing it over time. So there is you won't experience those severe withdrawal symptoms and those seizures, so on and so forth. Right? Because you're reducing it gradually instead of going cold turkey. See, when you go cold turkey, you risk those seizures and even death. It's happened to many people to where they would lock up. Let's say someone who was an alcoholic would get locked up. They have no access to alcohol, and they would get a seizure and die, because that's what happens when you try to completely quit cold turkey, when you try to do the abstinence method. You end up losing brain cells, so on and so forth. So just get educated, do the reduction method, use the Sinclair method, give love and support to your partner, and things are going to get well. Join a community. Don't do it by yourself. Hit the like button, subscribe, and join my group.